I've had a few requests to cover the topic of private blog networks, or PBNs, and this is a slightly shady area of SEO where we're talking about black hat manipulation of backlinks. So fundamentally, what is a PBN? It's basically rebuilding old expired domain names to give yourself a powerful backlink. Let me explain how this works. So here's one of my link building clients. They've been with me for a year, getting 10 backlinks per month, high quality backlinks, minimum DR of 30, minimum traffic of 1,000. Same as we provide for all my clients, and their DR has gone up to 30, starting from 0, and we can see that's had a really good impact on traffic. So they're about to hit 20,000 visitors per month, having started again just a year ago at 0. So if we have a look at the links we've built for this client, we, as say, minimum DR of 30, and the domain traffic should be a minimum of 1,000. But even then, we try and go deeper to build high quality backlinks. So for one of the metrics we actually look at is page level traffic. So we actually do a mix of surfer optimized guest posts that we hope will actually rank. We actually have more of a PR offering now where we try and actually craft the guest post in such a way that it looks like the author of the blog or the journalist has actually taken it upon themselves to write a really good article about this client. So it's much more of a PR feature, but we still optimize it for a keyword so that it'll actually rank on Google. And part of the benefit of this is what's called reputation research, where recently Google has revealed that its search quality raters will actually Google a brand name and go and look at other editorial mentions on the internet about that brand name to try and work out what sort of reputation it's got. So we try to combine guest posting and traditional link building with PR so that we actually make it look like that brand has attracted a lot of praise and attention around the internet from high quality sources. But another feature we look at, as well as optimizing the guest posts, is all about trying to get traffic, because yes, backlink power, DR, DA, that's one thing, but if you can get a link from a page that actually has traffic and is ranking for your target keywords, then that link is going to be more powerful. There's very little debate about that. If you've got a web page that's ranking for keywords that links to your page that you're trying to rank for that keyword, then obviously Google is going to put a lot more trust and power into that link because you've been recommended by someone who's already an authority on that keyword. So when we build links, we either try and insert links on existing articles that are already ranking for keywords, or we try and craft that PR piece so that within a few months it will actually rank on Google. So if we go through some of the links we built for this client, you can see not only do these links have a really high DR, but a lot of them are ranking for keywords, and some of them even have traffic. So even though we say a minimum DR of 30, our average is much more around the 55 mark. We've got links that go right up into the 60s for the same rate as the DR30 link. And part of this is the idea of link diversity. We don't want to just build you 10 DR30 links and 10 DR60 links. We want to give you a good natural mix. And that way we can also focus on quality and relevance, because we're not just looking at the DR, we just want to get you a good basket of natural looking links that look like these webmasters have actually taken the time to reference you. But so far with this view, we're actually excluding a major metric, and that is outbound links. So if I come up in this batch analysis and change this from looking at the URL to looking at the full domain, we can now see a picture of the actual domains that are linking to the site, the client, rather than the individual page. So that's where we can see the minimum traffic of 1,000 on every single link we build. And again, the average is actually quite high. 1,000 is very much the minimum threshold. If you go to a lot of cheap basic link providers, they'll set a minimum threshold of 100, something like that, even if they have a minimum threshold at all. Now you can get 100 traffic just with one blog post that gets a bit of attention, some low value keyword that's got no competition and a decent amount of volume. So these thresholds of 30 and traffic 1,000 excludes probably 99% of links out there that we could potentially get. And we then reject an awful lot of links because they don't meet our rigorous screening process where we go in to make sure, is this DR metric genuine? Has that actually come from good quality links from other websites, or has it been manipulated? And same thing with the traffic. Is it decent traffic, valuable, geo-targeted, or is it just really high info keywords in foreign locations which don't actually relate to the client? But for the PBN side of things, we actually want to come over to the side and look at the linked domains metric. And what we see here is how many websites each of these sites is linking out to. And that's because if you've got, most agencies will sell you a link on the basis it's or a DA60, something like that, maybe not even mention the traffic, but how many websites is that website actually linking out to? Because the amount of power you inherit from that link is dependent on how many other websites that site is linking out to. So it could be a DR60 news site, but if it's linking out to 50,000 websites, then the chances are the amount of power you're getting from that link is very small. It's diluted. Whereas you could get an insertion on a DR30 mum blog, which might only be linking out to 1,000 or 2,000 websites, in which case you're probably going to get more power from that link. So that's also a factor we bear in mind when we're actually building these high quality backlinks. But what if you want to take that further using what are called PBNs? Because the beauty of PBNs is not only can you get yourself a good quality, powerful link, but you actually maintain full control over that link. So how it works is you go onto an expired domain provider like SEO.domains. Most PBN builders will actually buy their own expired domains from GoDaddy auctions, places like this. I do a video on my channel about finding expired domains. Personally, I stick with SEO.domains or Odis because they basically save you the time of getting wrapped up in an auction, having to be online at the right time, bidding on it. Instead, you can simply buy whatever niche you need right there and then, rather than waiting for the right domain to turn up in an auction. Now, SEO.domains even have a category of best for PBN, where they focus on their cheapest domains, which still have some power for building PBNs. So with this method, here is a PBN that I have built. This was in the adult niche, and this is a perfect example where certain niches are much harder to build links in. We still build links in them through weapons, cannabis, adult, gambling, these kinds of niches. You can still get links, but they're much harder to get. And of course, the links you do get, are they going to be that good quality? Because the chances are, if one website is willing to link out to a gambling site, they're also going to be linking out to every other gambling site because all your competitors will have been hounding them as an opportunity for links. So the way you can escape that game, escape that race, is by building your own network of sites just to link to you. So going back to that idea about outbound links, your PBN network, you're only linking to yourself. So you therefore inherit all that power. I recently did a case study on this with my SEO Jesus brand, where you can see here, I very quickly got the DR up to 20, and that's with just 33 referring domains, and not many of those are actually good quality. So if I filter these links down to a minimum DR of 20, you can see I've just got 4 websites pointing at this site. And this again is basically a PBN because it's my own agency sites. So I do a separate YouTube video on this, but it's my personal brand, my previous agency brands, and I just gave myself a homepage link. And so from that, I was able to get my DR up to 20. So that just gives you a very basic idea of how, by taking a website that's already got power, if you only link to yourself, the impact on your own website is huge. Whereas if I then went back to those websites and linked out all over the place to all sorts of other websites, this metric would actually come down because I'm inheriting less of that power from my own network. So you can manipulate this by buying expired domains, rebuilding them, and linking to yourself so that you then get all this power. So these domains, we've got DR 16, 32, 26, 26, and 13. That's based on a fair amount of do follow backlinks, so between 40 and 150. And all that power is going through to the site, my own personal site, that I built this PBN for. They're not linking out to everyone else, not linking out to loads of competitors. All this power ultimately is being funneled down just to my website. Now, the other thing to keep in mind about PBNs that makes them so powerful is the importance of homepage links, because when you're doing outreach, it's very unlikely that a website is going to be willing to link to you from the homepage. But the homepage is the most powerful link you can get, because if you can imagine any brand basically on the planet, then all these mentions they get with their PR, publicity, anytime they get referenced, most of the time, these people are going to be linking back to their homepage. So basically any website you look at on the internet, the page with the most links is pretty much always the homepage. If not, then something's gone badly wrong. And there's a saying that Google ranks pages, not websites. So if the homepage has got all these links pointing at it, and then you can get a link to your site from the homepage, then you get all that power funneled down to you. And this is why PBNs are so powerful, because you get that homepage link. So if we go back to our standard white hat link building case study, we talk about a DR, but we also talk about a lot about the individual page. What keyword is the page ranking for, and how many backlinks has the page got pointing at it? Because that's ultimately what's going to drive your success. So when you build a PBN, not only do you get to secure these sites and lock them down just for you, so you're getting all these referring domains eventually pointing to your site, but you're getting them pointing to your site because you've got homepage links where all that power is directly funneled to your site. This is one of the screening checks we run all the time in the agency when we're building links, because when you're conducting outreach en masse, scraping competitors, things like that, it's natural that you do actually pick up a lot of PBNs. Now, we talk about PBNs as private blog networks. The concern, people joke about how when these become public blog networks. So assuming you built one of these networks, as I have here, now I built this just to link to my site, but then I realized how much have I invested in this asset? I'm then getting people emailing me, pitching me, saying, I'll give you $100, $200 to link to my site, then of course that could be a really good side hustle for me. So what you find is a lot of these private blog networks ultimately become public blog networks, which basically means they're then sending links to everyone, and they then lose the benefit of that PBN power, because then they're linking out to everyone, the power is reduced. So I wouldn't do that with this PBN, because I want all that power to my site. So there's a perfect example of this here. This is a sports website. If I have a look at the metrics on the face of it look really good. So we've got domain rating 61, 20,000 visitors per month, and the traffic value is $2,800. So we know it's ranking for good terms. So overall, this is really good. And generally the content seems reasonably in line with gaming and sports. But if we come down here, we have thanks to our sponsors, and then we have loads of casinos. And I was expecting this from a sports website, because obviously that's a prime target for gambling affiliates. And remember, gambling sites, they really struggle to get backlinks from most mainstream sources. We do gambling links in the agency, but it is a lot more work. And so PBNs like this become very valuable to them. And then similarly, if we come down here, sidebar links are also very common. So embrace the future of gambling with crypto betting for enhanced security and anonymity. So people will still buy homepage links in order to get some of that homepage power. So there's two things to bear in mind here. One, if you are building regular good quality links, high quality links for your site through outreach, be very careful you're not just picking up PBNs, private blog networks that become public blog networks and have therefore lost a lot of their power. There's a good chance that this could get penalized by Google. But for the purposes of today's video, I just want to tell you how powerful PBNs can be, because all these sponsors are now getting all of that power funneled to them. It's obviously split across all these many different casinos on here. But if this were your personal PBN, and so you had this site that's it's got 61, it's got 1,300 referring domains, it's getting 20,000 visitors a month, and you're able to put a single homepage link to your casino on there, then that's going to be an incredibly powerful link that money simply can't buy. You've got to build it. So hopefully that explains a lot of the theory behind PBNs, where you can buy these expired domain names. And again, just to recap, an expired domain, basically any brand, business, company, it could get acquired, go out of business. In the meantime, it's accumulated a lot of links over time, and so it's built up its DR. But what you find is administrators, acquisition lawyers, things like that, they're not very good at knowing the SEO value of a domain. They just see this overhead every year, so they just let it expire. And then other people can come along, register that domain name, and then reutilize this DR, these backlinks, for their own purposes. So that's where sites like Odys and SEO.domains come in. So you can go in and buy yourself a domain to build a PBN. So if we just put in marijuana, that's in the actual, let's go with gambling. So you can see predictions.global, DR of 39, currently $60,000. I probably wouldn't build a PBN on that one. But again, casino links are valuable, so you probably could make your money back if you did. But if we scroll down, we can even put in a filter here. If we put in a maximum price of 1,000, then we can see fixedmatches.co.uk, DR of 16 based on 32 referring domains, $1,000. So you can see loads of gambling domains here. So rather than relying on someone like us to conduct outreach and then find most of the sites will reject you because you're a gambling site, or have higher requirements because you're a gambling site, you could simply build your own websites and link to yourself. So how do you actually do that? Wherever you get your domain, whether it's SEO.domains or Odys or going through auctions yourself, you then need PBN hosting. So an important part of PBNs is hiding what are called footprints. You want to do everything you can to make sure Google can't see you're operating all these websites. Because if they look at your main money site and then they see that all these other websites linking to you are all on the same hosting, then that's obviously dodgy. So for a start, when you register the domain, you can get WhoisGuard protection. Namecheap provides it free, which basically means if someone looks up the domain host, then you're not obvious as the owner of that domain. And then we get to the actual hosting. So you'll notice with my PBN, I've got different IP addresses for all of them. Now, if you're only building a small PBN, a good way of doing this is actually just using Cloudflare. There is special PBN hosting out there. So good ones are Seekerhost, Launch CDN, and Easy Blog Networks. I'll leave links to these below in the description, so I'll see if I can get you a discount. But what these do is basically make it easier to deploy your website in the first place, your PBN. So things like plugins, updates, all of that is handled in the background. Some of them will also monitor your domain metrics, so they'll tell you what your DR is, what your traffic is, things like that. But fundamentally, they will host it on a different IP address each time. Whereas if you've got a shared hosting account, all your domains are going to be on the same IP address, and that's very dangerous if you start linking them together. Now, a simple fix for that is actually just to put your sites on Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a content delivery network, basically a whole network of servers around the world, which basically means if someone in Germany comes to your website, they get served your website from a nearby location, and that way your site's much faster. You get a load of security benefits because it's an additional layer between the outside world and your hosting, but also it changes your IP address. So actually that's the easiest way probably to build a PBN if you're only doing a few sites, is to just use your same shared hosting account that you've got for your main website, but put them all through Cloudflare, and you'll get different IP addresses, and then it will be untraceable that these are all on the same hosting. I suspect there might still be some footprint. Can Google actually see that? Probably not. So if you do want to be ultra secure, and especially if you're building a bigger network with more sites, so more than 5 or 10, as I've got here, then I'd recommend SeekerHost, Launch CDN, or Easy Blog Networks. The cost does go up, but there's a lot of time savings there in terms of running and managing that PBN. Next thing is you actually want your PBN to look good and actually get traffic. So you can see I've actually got keywords ranking on these domains, and that's an important thing. Like I said, with our link outreach, we always want to prioritize sites with traffic and pages with traffic. So when you first get your expired domain, you actually want to go through the best by links report in Ahrefs and rebuild all the pages that have links pointing at them. So let's take an example here. If we look at fixedmatches.co.uk, so DRF13, 80 backlinks, where are those links actually pointing? So we want pages, best by links. Now I say normally the homepage is the biggest one. So we can see 19 referring domains there, 2 links to the HTTP version, that doesn't really matter. But then you see there's 1 link pointing at this particular image file, this GIF. So most of the time it's just the homepage, but sometimes you'll find there's other pages here that have a lot of links pointing at them. If there are, you want to rebuild those pages with some content. Now often you'll have quite funny URLs, maybe it was built an old hosting platform a long time ago, an old website builder which had a funny URL format. You might find that's quite difficult to reproduce in WordPress. So for that, I recommend a permalink manager. I recommend Permalink Manager Lite for WordPress. It's free, and it basically means if you've got a great long URL that's /category/date, something like that, you can simply rewrite that permalink for each individual post. So you can recreate the page exactly as it appeared before on the same URL. After that, I would say just smash it with low competition content. So I use either autoblogging.ai or Koala. I'll leave links below. Now the content game is so easy. Before, when I started this network, I was using Article Forge, and at the time that was the best we had. But now we've got autoblogging.ai and Koala, makes mass content generation with high quality content very easy. So I'd honestly put 100, 500 articles on each of your expired domains, just so you can actually get that traffic number up as fast as possible. So when should you actually insert the link to your site? People joke about this, saying there's a sort of magic number, you should wait 30 days or whatever. Personally, I would say once you start ranking for keywords, that's probably time. That means Google trusts you enough to start giving you rankings, giving you traffic, plus it means Google's indexed your site again. So I'd probably say that's the right time to insert your link. Depending on how many websites you've got, obviously you don't want to build them all at once, so 5 links or something like that, that should be fine within a week or so. But if you are building a massive network, then obviously you want to drip those links in over time to make it look natural. Now if you're using expired domain and placing links on the homepage, they should index right away. But if you do want to speed it up, you can just go to omegaindexer.com and basically smash all your homepages through this, and that will make sure they get indexed, which means Google can see those links. So when should you use PBNs? I wouldn't say you should rely on them. Honestly, I would make sure you do genuine high quality backlink outreach. Make sure you're still building a decent volume of good links, because you always want link diversity. If all your backlinks are PBNs, then that's going to be dangerous. That can put you in a very dangerous situation. If Google sees all your links are coming from home pages with certain anchor text, whatever, then that's a problem. Whereas if you've got a real mix in there, all sorts of different blogs and news sites talking about you, mentioning you, linking to you with different anchor texts, different pages, then that's going to make your PBN very hard to detect. So for most people, you don't need to bother with PBNs. There's a lot of work involved here. We're talking probably more than a grand's worth of domains. Then you've got the hosting and actually building them out. So unless you're in a really tough competitive niche, I honestly wouldn't worry too much. I only did this one because it was an adult niche. And even then, it was still an absolute headache. You can see I've got this DR13 here that still isn't ranking for keywords. So you're basically multiplying all the issues with running a site and applying it to these sites you don't even care about that much. So it can be a massive distraction. I've made the mistake before, sinking money into PBN hosting, but not actually buying decent domains in the first place, so there wasn't any power there. So I was basically paying for nothing. It was just a distraction. So as usual, focus on the fundamentals, write great content, build great links. If you don't want to build great links, get my team to do it for you. But if you are struggling to get that final push, then a PBN can be a really good option. I don't define things as black hat versus white hat. Plenty of black hat tactics do still work, and PBNs just make sense. With the rise of AI content, PBNs, backlinks in general are just going to be more and more important. And I think my biggest fear in SEO right now is that more and more webmasters are going to become hesitant about linking to you, because now that content is so easy, more and more budgets are going to be invested just into backlinks, which means any website selling links is going to be inundated with requests. That means prices are going to go up and they're going to be much more stringent about who they accept. So it's going to get to a point where it simply makes more sense to buy expired domains and build PBNs rather than relying on outreach to actually build your links. So for the meantime, I'm making sure to build as many links to my sites as I can at the moment, while I still can, while prices are still reasonable. But I think longer term, PBNs are just going to be more and more important, because ultimately you control these links. I have here a DR26 that's getting traffic, getting some keywords, so I can send really powerful links wherever I want. If I had 50 to 100 of these, then that's a huge amount of power. If I start a new business tomorrow, I can get a lot of power into that site very quickly. Plus, if you are building your own personal PBN, make sure to actually link these together, because remember, they're all on different IP addresses, so you can actually make them more powerful by linking them all to each other. So the PBN is PBN'd to itself. But of course, that increases the risk. If you do start selling links on your PBN, then if someone's being dodgy and buying every link going and they get caught out, then of course that gets traced back to you, and then your whole network can be blown up and de-indexed. So by all means, link these together to get extra power, but make sure you cover your footprints. If you're only linking to yourself and you're doing it in a sensible way that's sustainable, then the risks to you are pretty low. A lot of PBN owners will actually exclude Ahrefs and SEMrush, those kinds of crawlers, from their PBN to keep them secret, keep them hidden. I personally don't do that, partly because I want to keep an eye on them using these tools. I don't like having Search Console set up on every single site. But also, that again is a footprint. Why are all these sites excluding Ahrefs and SEMrush, and why are they all pointing at this same site? It's probably a PBN. So keeping it open, making it look like a real website, real business, is always priority number one. Now, just one other question. What about buying PBNs? I've tested a lot of these, also spoken to a lot of industry insiders, and generally the view is that you should probably avoid, because if you think about it from their perspective, what a great business model. You pay $100 for a PBN link, you pay $100 for a domain, set it up as a PBN, put it on your hosting, and then you then sell links on it for $20 a go. That's then a really good asset. That pays for itself in no time. And then years down the line later, you've still got people buying links on those sites. Now, a lot of these providers, obviously, they don't want to reveal the sites because they have to keep their private blog network hidden. Therefore, they're not really under any obligation to actually give you any details about the links. So you'll often get screenshots, but that's pretty much it. Now, I'm not suggesting they don't build the links. I think they really do place those links. But the fact is, you get no quality control on those actual websites. So you'll generally find the inventory is quite old. They might have had that domain for years and been selling links on it. So you might find this private blog network has already become a public blog network. So a very low powered domain, very low DR, and actually linking out to hundreds of websites. So by all means, try them if you wish. But my own experience was they didn't move the needle much. And when I started speaking to people about it, they all said that basically these PBN services become highly commodified. So generally, you're better off building your own, unless, of course, you've got a network and you can talk to other people in your network who've got their own private PBNs.